Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It's Tuesday, 5 May, year of our Lord 2020. We are live from Capitol Hill in our nation's capital of Washington, D.C. I want to give a hat tip. I know the radio audience and the podcast audience often can't see, but if you ever get a chance, you got to somehow grab the live stream from AVN. The opening graphics they do is quite powerful. I want to give a hat tip to the team out in Colorado, America's Voice.News, our co-production partner, along with the John Fredericks Radio Network, to help us get this show up. Newsmax, of course, lays some great B-roll on it late at night. So one thing I love about the show, you can see it in many different aspects and podcasts. You can see, but the AVN opening graphics over that over the Raheem Kassam, brilliant open. You know, I've had a lot of pressure from people that wanted to put different voices in there, said we should update it, but somehow that has such a perfect rhythm to it. And to know that that was done on January 22nd or 3rd, January 23rd, which, by the way, I want to lay something out. To me, our objective is to get back to America that was the America on the 23rd of January in the year of our Lord 2020. Okay, that is the day that Wuhan went into quarantine. Okay, and Hubei province got shut down. And that is the day to me that America at full employment, an economy on fire, with different political opinions, people arguing. Americans, 91% think the Chinese Communist Party is a threat. 91% of the American people don't agree that the sun is going to rise in the east. We're not a people who agree with each other. That's fine, right? That's what democracy is about. That's what America about. Let's get back to that America. That's our objective. Whether it's therapeutics, testing, vaccine, all of it. Right, that's the objective. That's the objective, and it may take us a couple of years to get there. But however, the Chinese Communist Party is responsible for this. We're going to get to a hammer. We brought a hammer in for this segment. I'm going to get to him in a second because he's a colleague, a friend, and actually a warrior. And this guy takes more abuse from the progressive left, the mainstream media, but also the Chinese Communist Party. Every bad guy in the world is after our next guest, but I'll leave you hanging for a second until we bring him. I got to go back. You got to play. Okay, tee up the Azar thing because this is making my head blow up. Right? I can't. This is the problem. This is one of the problems. You got a group over there that is not organized, or as Taxi Driver said, organized. Right? The Robert De Niro character. This is not acceptable for the head of HHS to come out and say that. Let's replay it.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, the other question, obviously, this morning, many Americans are waking up and wondering about are these various news reports suggesting there's at least a draft report from CDC, FEMA officials, and others predicting that you and others in the White House administration have to prepare for the possibility of up to 200,000 deaths of Americans by June 1st, that there's going to be 3,000 deaths a day. It's going to be rising. Is that true? Have you seen such a report? And if it's not true, what are you preparing for, sir?
So I've not seen that report. I've heard about it, obviously. There are hundreds of models that are drafted look at various contingencies out in the private public health world as well as within our agencies. This apparently is a draft modeling report of various contingencies prepared by Johns Hopkins. This was not reviewed by the White House or senior leadership or the task force. The president's recommendations on reopening the American economy are based on the soundest scientific evidence and modeling and forecasting, not draft initial projections that just are floating out there.
Now, one other thing that I would just add here is kind of to this point. So President Trump was just walking out to Marine One. He's getting ready to take off.
Go to Arizona.
Right. And he actually answered this question, and he went into it pretty strong, saying that we're pulling the clip right now, saying that this study, the Hopkins study, that basically had no mitigation. That had just everyone completely open going back. And so President Trump, at least he had his answer down pat, and he went into it. And so, but keep in mind, the
President of the United States understands it, has looked at it, reviewed it, and has an answer, right? But as the Secretary of HHS getting ready to go on Fox and talk to 5 million people doesn't. This is the problem. President Trump's got enough to worry about, right? He's got enough weight on his shoulders, right? Somebody's got to take the load, right? He ain't heavy. He's my president right now, Secretary Azar. How come you didn't go through that? I would like to have Azar have given that response, right, on national TV. Azar is all concerned about, he's in the bullpen not getting the call. This is why you don't get the call, right? Because you get up there and you give. And by the way, I think the guy had it wrong. 200,000. The Fox guy, I think, I believe he misspoke. I could be wrong, but I think he misspoke. But the 200,000 deaths by June 1st, right?
Yeah,
I think at least when I took a look at the model, I thought it was 3,000 a day starting in June, but didn't get to the 200,000. Azar should have corrected him
until
right there.
August. But one of the things that I think everybody is frustrated with, right? We have followed the advice of these scientists. We have, shut down an entire world based upon their advice, and yet none of their models seem to work, right? They change, the numbers change every day, and they're like, oh, well, as we get new data, the models change. Well, hey, let's get real. We've shut down the world based upon your models from 2 months ago, right? So, whether you guys are correct or not, the American people and a lot of people out there who aren't scientists or just trying to feed their families are starting to doubt the magic behind the science here.
Well, and exactly what President Trump said was when he stopped on his
Do we
way
have
to
the clip or not yet?
Not yet, but it's a report, and that's a report with no mitigation. So based on no mitigation, but we're doing a lot of mitigation. Frankly, when the people report back, they're going to be social distancing. They're going to be washing their hands, doing things that you're supposed to do. We won't be going into stadiums for events like soccer, football, baseball. I hope baseball can get going, but they won't be going in full bore yet. At some point, hopefully in the not too distant future. But that report is a non-mitigation report, and we are mitigating. So that's what President Trump. So he had his answer down. So good job on the team for getting that to President Trump.
Time. Okay, let's. Anything else on this for cleared up? We'll come back to this at the bottom of the hour. We're going to pick this back up to finish. I want to finish with this opening of America, but now I want to turn to what the real. I said this on John Frederick today. It's not the governor of Michigan's fault that you're locked up. It's not the governor of Virginia. It's not Mike DeWine in Texas. It's not DeSantis in Florida. It's not Bill de Blasio. They've got us fighting each other. And I realize people have disagreements about how it should be done, where it should be done, my personal favorite. But the problem is we got hit by an enemy, okay? Even if it didn't come out of the lab in Wuhan, and we're still not sure about that. And we are spending, you should know, that we're spending an inordinate amount of time with the War Room team to get to the bottom of that, okay? And we will get to the bottom of it. But with our Chinese colleagues and other people we know in the whistleblower movement. However, they lied about this from the beginning. We know that for a fact. That's not circumstantial evidence. These are demonstrable facts that they withheld this, suppressed this, and that's what's caused this global catastrophe. The author, one of the guys, has been following this for 30 years. He's not some Johnny-come-lately that is going to send out some make one statement and then send out something to donors to guys hitting with $10. Not that I'm saying that's going on, Nikki Haley. Look, she makes one statement about it. Next thing you know, she got a donor. People are broke, Nikki. Go back to your big donors, okay? Many of whom are tied up with the CCP. Many of your Wall Street folks. Go back to your donors, Nikki, and shake them down for some coin to go after the CCP. Don't be hitting up the little guy. The little guy doesn't have any money. Little guy's 30 million unemployed. Just saying, we love allies, we love people coming to our side, but hey, don't make one statement. Don't write some. And no offense, the thing in the what was it, the Washington Post, weak, was sad. Okay? Sad. Don't write one oppo and then send out, a donor thing to hit the little guy up for $10 for your crusade against the Chinese Communist Party. Okay? Go back to the big donors, right, that want to see you president of the United States in 2024. Okay? Not saying that's a fantasy. I think I was quoted at Bloomberg on the day that you resigned in 2016 that you're ambitious as Lucifer. Okay? Just quoting Milton. Paradise delayed. But no, Nikki, right? Don't be shaking down the little guy for your, China. Get on the team, get hard, let's shut it down, and tell your Wall Street guys, they're all in back of you, that, hey, they got to cut the ties. Well, I want to hear them saying we're not giving any more capital to the CCP. The problem here is Wall Street and the corporatists finance this. Michael Horowitz, he's going to be back on tomorrow about the firewall. Firewall's built with American technology and American capital. Here's the problem. The managed decline by our elites of the United States of America. It's the reason Donald Trump's president. The Thucydides trap, all of that. So, Nikki, we're glad you're on the team. Always like colleagues. Like we got to get everybody together. But don't write one op-ed and then start hitting up the little guy to give you $10, right? The little guy doesn't have $10 right now. Okay, he's unemployed. There's 30 million unemployed. Don't mean to pick on Nikki Haley, but the conservative movement should understand this is not some racket. Okay, this is not some way to go out and raise money. We're at war. We're at information and economic war. And the following guy, Bill Gertz, understands that. Deceiving the sky inside communist China's drive for global supremacy, just like Robert Spalding, General Spalding. This is a must-read. Put it up here for the radio audience. I've got his book up here with a beautiful cover. We've also got he's come out with a monograph today, a new ebook that we're going to promote like crazy, because this is not sad. This is actually from a guy who's a warrior, okay? How the Chinese Communist Party made the world sick. It's by Bill Gertz, the investigative reporter. And we got the cover up there right now on AVN. Thank you. The AVN guys, thank you so much. Raheem Gassam and the team. Really appreciate that. So for the people on the John Fredericks Radio, we get this beautiful cover. It's a little artistic for my taste. But Bill Gertz is, and Bill Gertz now joins us. Bill, we only got a couple minutes, but I'm going to have you hang over for the next segment because we can't get enough of Bill Gertz. Tell me, what's the book about? I love the title. Do you deliver in this book? How did they make us sick?
Well, it's really an important look at all of the things that were done and mishandled from the very beginning. This thing happened starting in December, and the Chinese went into full cover-up and deception mode. They basically prevented the doctors from spreading the word. They corrupted the World Health Organization. And I think one of the key things that I report in this new ebook is that in my January 26th story, I said rumors were circulating on the internet that the Chinese were claiming that this virus was created by U.S. Army, U.S. military, in the U.S. lab. And I said this was a sign that the Chinese were preparing their propaganda outlets.
Hey, Bill. We're going to we got to get a better connection there. Vish, need a better connection. Got beautiful graphics, and Bill looks amazing. And that in and of itself takes some work. Okay? Hey, it's Steve Bannon saying that, so take it for what it's worth. We got to clean up that audio. We got to clean up the audio because he's got important stuff to say. Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. We got a lot in this to cover before the end of the show. We've got Joan Ajana Bianco from the American Bondholders Foundation. She's sitting on hundreds of billions, some people say trillions of dollars, of bonds issued by the Chinese government in 1912 to build the infrastructure inside of China. And the Chinese Communist Party, they're their bonds. And so they're sovereign bonds of the Chinese government. Owed to, guess who? The deplorables. Okay, she's going to join us in the show. We're going to get Gertz back on his new book.
I want to direct people to my Twitter feed at the moment because we've got a spat going on right now. The latest author for CGTN, Tom Fowdy, with his headline, Steve Bannon, a modern-day demagogue. I went to him on Twitter and asked him how long he's been working for the CCP. Blocked.
You also blew up the guy from London School yesterday.
We'll get
into
that.
Okay, short commercial break. Be back with Gertz in a moment.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new Copperfit compression gloves with Sure Grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new Sure Grip bands built in to provide a strong, non-slip grip for more power and control.
You need total control of your hands when you're doing anything with construction. Your hands are your livelihood. The Copperfit gloves are great. The grip is outstanding here with these different ribs. It makes my hand a lot more usable. It just feels like you're just ready to start the job.
The gloves have been a game changer for me. They help with flexibility and pain and soreness. They allow me to do my job even better.
Breathable wicking fabric with an open finger design for full range of motion, feel, and control.
They relieve my pain. When I grab something, I'm not in pain. The support or whatever magic these things do, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter to me what it is. It works.
I get a lot of pain, and it can make it difficult to do the smallest thing. While I'm wearing this, I do not have any pain. I can use it on the keyboard, I can use my phone, I drive with it, I sleep with it. I love this glove.
The new Copperfit compression gloves with Sure Grip technology. Relief from painful muscle and joint soreness. Guaranteed or your money back. Call 1-800-984-5571 or on the web at getcopperfitgloves.com for only $19.99. Order right now and your shipping is free.
I tried it, I use it, I know it works.
Copperfit gloves definitely just make my life better.
I've used Copperfit before. This has helped my hands so much. These things work.
Feel better with copper-infused compression. Ask for it by name. Copperfit compression gloves.
In the last year, there were 3 victims of cybercrime every second. When a criminal has your personal information, they can do all sorts of things in your name. Criminals can use ransomware, spyware, or malware to gain access to information, like your name, your birthday, and even your social security number.
That's why Norton and LifeLock are now part of one company, providing an all-in-one membership for your cyber safety that gives you identity theft protection, device security, a VPN for online privacy, and more. And if you have an identity theft problem, we'll work to fix it with our $1 million protection package.
There are new cyber threats out there every day. So protecting yourself isn't a one-time job, it's an ongoing need. Now is the time to make sure that you have the right plan in place. Don't wait.
Norton 360 with LifeLock. Use promo code GET25 to save 25% off your first year and get a free shredder with annual membership. Call now to start your membership or visit lifelock.com/TV.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the War Room. Remember, it is unrestricted warfare. Unrestricted warfare. By the way, you know the reason we got into World War I was unrestricted submarine warfare. The Germans shooting everything out of the water, going into England. Basically, the Lusitania, right? Shot the Lusitania, sank the Lusitania, was just shooting it.
1915.
1915, people finally had enough of it. Unrestricted submarine warfare. One of the biggest controversies in World War II, unrestricted submarine warfare on both sides. And the American bombing campaign, I should say the Allied bombing campaign over Nazi Germany and then over Imperial Japan to break the back of the industrial combine that was against us. And, you know, people were saying, well, you know, there were civilians, unrestricted air warfare to break it. The Chinese, unrestricted warfare. And they chose this title. Specifically. By the way, he's interviewed in the South China Morning Post today and gives your host a shout out. So we'll talk about that. The Major General is actually interviewed. He's saying now that there's a rising nationalism in China, and he advises against this China striking at Taiwan. Remember, the whole core to this book, and we're going to get into this in a second, the reason this book is the most important book on strategy since Clausewitz, it really defines modern warfare, in which it's information warfare, now tied with cyber, it is economic warfare, and the last part is kinetic warfare. And they're saying, hey, if you're going to fight kinetically, you've already kind of lost. but we will be ready. We're not ready for the foreign devils yet. That'll be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. One day we may, but they dominate that domain, but they don't dominate information warfare. They don't dominate economic warfare, and that's how we can defeat them. And we're seeing that every day. They're at war with us. This is not a cold war. This is a hot war. This is a hot war, and they're at war with us. Great piece today talks about a guy saying they declared the 30-year war in 2018 when at that conference where they gave him all the power that hadn't really been power like that since Mao Zedong. That the Communist Party reports to him, the PLA reports to him, and the state, China, reports to him. All three in one guy. He's actually, as I refer to, the last emperor, the real last emperor. And he's at war, and we've seen this. Here's the reason that in the first time, somebody in China told me the other day, they think it's the first time in 70 years since CCT's had the nightly news at 7 o'clock that they've ever taken the star of the show to go after a private citizen on international. They almost always start the show religiously with the latest of the domestic news that the regime has done great for you, right? Your life is better for the following, because it's all propaganda. That's the extraordinary thing. And here's why it's not me, it's not this group, it's not Vish, it's not Greg Mann's in the war room, it's not Jason or Raheem or Jack. It is, and it's not the hedge fund guys that listen to this, it's not the news producers that listen to this, it's not the political class and the administration, not that. They are petrified to the marrow of their bones on what Wan Xishan spent 3 hours talking to me, and they're petrified about populism. They are petrified in actually the little guy, Lao Beijing, old 100 names, acting like the deplorables. I said on this interview in Town Hall the other day about John Fredericks and the John Fredericks Radio Network, why it's important. I said, the world cares what you think, they care what you do, and they care how you vote. Okay? It's once you're aroused, once you're woke, right? Once you're woke to what's really going on here, once you're woke, we're going to win this, right? Got to wake you first, that sleeping giant. Once it's woke, and that's why Gertz's new book, How the Chinese Communist Party Made the World Sick. Bill Gertz was on the very first episode of this, and he got blown up. I think it was Media Matters blew him up. The Washington Post, wingnut conspiracy theory guys with all this stuff with this lab. Well, hey, every day we hear a new thing on the lab, and let's go to, including the Secretary of State, who, by the way, CCTV just had our Global Times just did an editorial on Pompeo, saying he's put aside his Christian values. This guy's now a devil, etc. But let's hear from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
Yeah, and just as we were getting ready to start the show, there was a segment on with Jim Sciutto on CNN with Lisa Mosquero, who's the former Homeland Security
for Obama.
Did I have her last name right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're talking about the dangers of rhetoric. And American rhetoric more specifically, and this is taking us potentially to the brink of war.
Is that information warfare?
Right, and but the thing is they were saying the danger is the rhetoric, and so I tweeted out at them. I was like, CNN just had a segment saying American rhetoric is a problem. It said 70,000 Americans are dead. Economy is in shambles. CCP knew about human-to-human transmission in 2019 and didn't tell us so they could gobble up the PPE, sign phase 1, and go to Davos. American rhetoric is the issue? No. CCB accountability is.
Amen.
And that's
so what did they say? Do we have that poll? What did they say about the rhetoric? Because they're talking about the war room.
They're going to Trump and even going back to the trade deal and some of the trade wars which they can't have both at the same time. Like they can't go and say, we were covering it up because we wanted to get past phase 1, but then our rhetoric on trade wars with China, like they can't, they're so triggered, the TDS that they have over there, they both can't be true at the same time.
I will tell you though, for all the expatriates I work with in China, given the apparatus of CNN is the one that they blame. I mean, they say BBC's terrible, obviously CCTV, the BBC of China is pure propaganda. But I got to tell you, they're always pointing the finger at CNN, this bad job CNN did on Hong Kong, the bad job CNN has done, given their assets and their resources of really covering what the real story is of a totalitarian dictatorship.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, having traveled pretty extensively in Asia, you go into any meeting and you sit down with folks and they'll talk about how bad the news looks. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, all we see on CNN is how they're saying President Trump's doing such a bad job. This is how global
100%.
opinions are formed.
People don't understand it. If you're in foreign airports, if they got an American thing on, it's CNN. If you go in a hotel, it's CNN. Right? Nowadays, every now and again, you'll see Bloomberg TV. You may see business. You may see Fox everywhere, but CNN's everywhere over there. That's how they see America sees himself.
So let's go to the clip of Secretary Pompeo. This is on Sunday. He's on with Martha Raddatz on ABC's This Week. This has the world on fire. Love Pompeo. Here we go.
And Mr. Secretary, have you seen anything that gives you high confidence that it originated in that Wuhan lab?
Martha, there's enormous evidence that that's where this began. We've said from the beginning that this was a virus that originated in Wuhan, China. We took a lot of grief for that from the outset, but I think the whole world can see now. Remember, China has a history of infecting the world, and they have a history of running substandard laboratories. These are not the first times that we've had a world exposed to viruses as a result of failures in a Chinese lab. And so while the intelligence community continues to do its work, they should continue to do that and verify so that we are certain. I can tell you that there is a significant amount of evidence that this came from that laboratory in Wuhan.
Kaboom.
Oh, hold on. It gets better. Here we go. More Secretary Pompeo with Martha Raddatz on Sunday.
So, Martha, you've got the facts just about right. We can confirm that the Chinese Communist Party did all that it could to make sure that the world didn't learn in a timely fashion about what was taking place. There's lots of evidence of that. Some of it you can see in public, right? We've seen announcements. We've seen the fact that they kicked journalists out. We saw the fact that those who were trying to report on this, medical professionals inside of China, were silenced. They shut down reporting. All the kind of things that authoritarian regimes do. It's the way communist parties operate. This is classic communist disinformation effort. That created enormous risk, and now you can see hundreds of thousands of people around the world, tens of thousands in the United States have been armed. President Trump is very clear. We're going to hold those responsible accountable, and we'll do so on a timeline that is our own.
That is the hammer. Talk about the disinformation campaign, Mr. Raheem Kassam.
Yeah, I'll start with this. It's not Nikki Haley being attacked in all of the magazines, the CGTN, Xinhua, CCTV, and so on and so forth. There is a big propaganda effort out there that's going on right now. It's taking place in real time on my Twitter feed that people can go and look at Raheem Kassam. And we yesterday looked into this op-ed that came out of CGTN, which is the global information arm of CCTV, which is the Chinese Communist Party's news network. 100%, wholly CCP. There was a columnist called Hanan Hussein, and he listed himself as a security analyst at the London School of Economics South Asia Centre. All of his profile said that, everything about him said that, and he had indeed written some blogs for the London School of Economics. However, when we drilled into it, it turned out that Hanan Hussein, who was writing for CGTN, attacking you, Steve, as using this security analyst title of his, we heard back from the London School of Economics, and they said to us, we never heard of him, basically. We have no idea who this guy is. It's a fraudulent credential. He doesn't work here. He's not only is he not a security analyst, but the position of security analyst doesn't even exist at the South Asia Centre at the London School of Economics. And so we've started to go through these other op-eds that have popped up here and there across these sites. Another one that was published on the evening of May the 3rd, Steve Bannon, a modern-day demagogue, again on CGTN.com. Great compliment if you ask me. Tom Fowdy. Now, Tom Fowdy is actually a real human being. You can tell he's a real human being because when I asked him about half an hour ago, live, why he was writing for a CCP-owned outlet, how much was he being paid by the CCP to do so. First, he threatened me with legal action, which I'm very well used to. And secondly, immediately after threatening that, he blocked me.
And now...
Exactly. Go ahead.
He's taken his entire account private.
So Tom, how much are you getting paid by the CCP? You're running. These are the running dogs. You're going to see, and Raheem's going to be in to unlock all of it. Okay, they got so many guys on the payroll, and what they're trying to do is trying to cover up for their crimes. Okay, they're not going to be able to cover up for their crimes. They're going to peel it all back.
Now, Tom alleges that he's not on the payroll and that he does what he does voluntarily, which is even worse when you think about it, because that means he's not taking money to hold a position. He genuinely identifies with the Communist Party of China.
And all the destruction. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. Be back with the entire team. Jack Maxey wants to jump in here. Also, Jonna Bianco, American Bonds, next.
Everyone loves the benefits of compression socks, but they're just so hard to get on. Until now. Introducing the all-new Copperfit Energy Socks, redesigned for the first ever easy on, easy off fit to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support. A new blend of stretch fabric for the most comfortable, easy on, easy off compression fit.
Being a SWAT commander, we train to win. The Copperfit Energy Socks, they didn't feel like other compression socks. They totally exceeded my expectations.
Our most powerful copper-infused fabric, woven into our easy-on, easy-off compression sock to help reduce swelling discomfort from prolonged sitting or standing.
I'm 38 and a half weeks pregnant. Copperfit Energy Socks worked beautifully.
Extra support around the arch and ankles for increased support and relief of muscle aches and pains.
I'm so excited about these socks. I'm so much more energized to go do things after a day of work. They just slip right on, yet they still have that same compression that you want.
A soft cushion footbed for all-day comfort.
I'm on my feet at least 9 to 10 hours a day. These were fantastic. A lot of compression socks are a little too thin, especially for what I do. With Copperfit, I could wear these every day.
Feel more energized. Feel more active. Just feel better.
They just hug your leg. It relieves all the pressure that you have. I have so much energy, I can go, hey, you want to dance?
The first ever easy on, easy off compression sock. The most comfortable compression sock you will ever wear. Get your Copperfit Energy Socks now online at GetEnergySocks.com for only $19.99 or call 1-800-978-1224. Order right now and we'll include a second pair of compression socks free.
I've never felt anything like it before.
No more pain, no more swelling, no more achy, tired feet.
I can never go back to regular compression socks again.
Don't settle for ordinary. Ask for the original by name, Copperfit Energy Socks.
Some people say dress your age. That's ridiculous. I dress how I feel. Yesterday, I felt bold with boundless energy. This morning, I woke up calm and unbreakable. Tomorrow, who knows? Age is just an illusion. How you show up for the world, that's what's real. What's your idea? I put it out there with the GoDaddy website. Make the world you want.
I sent your new prescription to the pharmacy.
Any idea how much it will cost?
You have a choice. Insurance or GoodRx?
I have insurance.
Insurance is not what it used to be. People struggle to get their prescriptions covered, and prices keep rising. I recommend GoodRx. You get free coupons to save on your prescriptions. Compare prices to find the best discounts.
GoodRx. Smart.
Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to the War Room. It is for May, Tuesday. We didn't have a Black Monday yesterday. It wasn't that bad. Bad, but not that bad. Okay, Year of Our Lord 2020. Are these people real or are they not real, Raheem? One guy you've got one guy, not just on the run, he's in a full, total, complete meltdown.
Yeah, this Tom Fowdy, and look, I don't pick on people for the sake of picking on people. I pick on people for being liars, for working for the stated enemies of Western civilization. Tom Fowdy writes this article on May the 3rd for CGTN, the CCP outfit, and we went into some of the things yesterday. And Fowdy, I just simply asked him a question this morning on Twitter, public for everyone to see. I said, "Hey, do you work for the CCP? How do you qualify that? And how much are they paying you?" Very simple questions, right? Hey, come on now. Let's get straight to the point.
Over your tea and crumpets.
I'm not going to dance around about it. And he went into full meltdown. He's locked down his Twitter account. We had a bunch of the Wu Mao, the 50 Cent army, popping up in his defense over the last half an hour, attacking me, by the way, for being a neoliberal Tory, which you couldn't get further away from if you were trying.
Tell people what the Wu Mao 50 Cent army is.
So the Wu Mao 50 Cent army is the Chinese. These are real people. These are not just robotic algorithms that are responding to you. These are real people that are employed by the CCP to flood the zone on Western social media, digital media channels, in order to take down or undermine the points being made by people like me, by people like you, by Western patriots around the world. They will attack people's families. They will attack their jobs, their reputations, and they flood the zone with information. We know that we've actually had a bunch of them on the YouTube live stream here on the War Room Pandemic show as well. So this is they're paid, and the reason they're called Wu Mao, it's the 50 Cent army. That's how much they're notionally paid per post, which, by the way, is more than Steve pays me. So we've been developing our own.
They're more effective.
We've been developing and they speak better English. We've been developing our own Wu Mao army of sorts to kind of crowdsource information back to the War Room about what's taking place out there, what information is being spread. And by the way, remember that the platforms, I say, are complicit in this as well. When Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all these guys, they know exactly what's happening here. They know exactly where these posts are coming from, and they know exactly why they exist, and they refuse to do anything about it, but they'll ban Laura Loomer or something, but they won't go after...
Zero Hedge has been banned. Zero Hedge has been banned for 2 months for having a great aggregation story about guess what? The Wuhan lab.
Can we be clear, though, that there really only is one 50 Cent army?
Go on.
Go, shorty. It's your birthday.
Thank you, Jason. No, nice.
Do we have to pay for the guy? No, that was fair use.
Fair use.
No,
nice,
it was only 7 seconds, so I kept it short below the for the fair use.
But to answer your question, we don't know if these op-ed writers are even real people. Now, Tom Fowdy.
Oh, come on! What do you mean by that?
Well, Tom Fowdy looks like he's a real person, and I actually have a mutual LinkedIn connection with him, so I'm investigating as to whether or not Tom Fowdy is a real person with a real job who's doing this, or whether it's some made-up persona posting for the CCP. The one I'm not sure about yesterday is this guy we talked about, Hanan Hussein, because it turns out he doesn't work for the London School of Economics. They deny ever hearing of the guy, and then his pictures are all these kind of modeling pictures, and so we don't know if this person's actually real. Now, he lists himself as studying at the University of Maryland, says he's a Fulbright scholar, so we've actually got
there's no Fulbright scholars at the University of Maryland.
Right. Well, we've got a query out to the University of Maryland.
Suck on that, Terps.
to see if he actually is a real person.
I did go to Virginia Tech, so
no, that's some ACC hatred.
But these people may not even be real people, and meanwhile, the platforms, the Googles, the Twitters, the Facebook, they allow this clearly fake news, fake authors, fake commentary writers to flood the zone into the United States with this stuff. Remember, when it was 3 Russian botnet accounts posting, the whole Western world lost their collective mind over it. Every single intelligence agency, $45 million spent on investigation. You've got the Chinese, you've got the CCP targeting misinformation, highly targeted, very well paid for, clearly, and we're not doing anything about it. Well, we'll start here in the world.
When I say they're a group of gangsters, this is one of the most sophisticated groups ever. They consider the United States a tributary state, and they do not want that relationship to change. And they are at full scale. We're in a hot information war with these folks right now. We're in a hot cyber war with these folks right now. We're in a hot economic war with these folks right now. And the now Major General writer, he was a colonel at the time, of unrestricted warfare, is in the South China Morning Post with basically an interview today to say, hey, there's some rising nationalism in China, and part of it's the rhetoric of the West, but he's saying China should not attack, to go to kinetic warfare and attack Taiwan. That's where we stand. That's reality. The reality is not, don't take it out on your governor of Michigan. Don't take it out on the governor of Florida. We can't turn on ourselves. That's what the Chinese Communist Party wants. They want us at each other's throats and not focused on the real enemy. The real enemy's them.
I know this may be impolite, but I'd like to add a fourth leg to that stool. You've got information, you've got kinetic, and you've got economic. Let's remember one thing. We have food. They cannot eat N95 masks. They cannot eat iPhones. The reality, that is the Trump people. And we have to start thinking about this. In my mind, I'm speaking for Jack Maxey, strategically concerning our dominance in food supply.
No, that's part of economic warfare. That is part of economic warfare because Brazil and the United States together are the OPEC of food. Okay, and by the way, we don't want to listen. The Chinese people are our allies here. We got to. That's what makes this so complicated and trying to bifurcate. And the reason the CCP is so upset with this show and so upset with what we do every day. We're the first person to say the enemy is not China. The enemy is not the Chinese people. They're our allies. The enemy is the Chinese Communist Party. And I realize it's going to be a fine line. But the whole food issue is part of the strategic underneath the economic warfare. The other thing is that, and we don't have time today, we'll have it tomorrow, where you're going to walk through the potential for famine. If you don't think this is 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, wait till you get Jack Maxey talking about we got global pestilence. Now we're going to have a global famine.
Look, Wendy's. That's a huge story this morning about Wendy's cutting back and not having burgers everywhere now.
Well, not just burgers. Look, Costco. You go into Costco. Why do people go to Costco? They go to Costco for the meats, the fish, the shrimp. Costco. You walk in
and bulk purchases. And now they're saying that only 2 items of meat per family, actually.
This is the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen. The United States of America. You want to get back to January 23rd? You want to get back to that nation? Okay? Here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to confront the Chinese Communist Party first. Anybody tells you differently is pure happy talk, okay? Pure happy talk. We're going to have to confront them, and we're going to have to defeat them. And the people of the world and the Chinese people are on our side on this.
I would like to give a shout out to the governor of Iowa because I think it's so important for American people to see leadership when it presents itself. And this is what she said yesterday when she was being interviewed by some reporters. She said, look, the reality is we can't stop the coronavirus. It's going to remain in our communities until we have a vaccine available. So we have to learn to live with it without letting it govern our lives. And I think that is probably one of the most straightforward pieces of advice. And I wish every politician would start giving it.
But Jack Maxey from Bizarro Land, isn't that the reason Wendy doesn't have hamburgers and the reason that Costco doesn't have meat is the meat packing plant at Iowa Beef under the tutelage of said governor? Just saying.
I have an answer for that, Steve.
Okay, come back.
I have an answer for that. You could have locked down this country. You could have welded people's doors shut, but all of those meat packing plants were considered necessary businesses, essential businesses, so they had to stay open. So
I got that, but you got to do separation.
Well, then let's follow South Dakota. Another brave woman.
But hang on a second. Did Iowa beef packing and did South Dakota have policies in place at those meat packing plants that would have made this less?
My guess is that meatpacking plants are controlled by the FDA, not the states. But
That's
more
a slip.
importantly,
You're such a slip.
more importantly, when you look at South Dakota, she has instituted a hydroxychloroquine program, and she's going to use it as a prophylactic across the board. She's ready to give every single person in the state a dosage. And then you know what we're going to find out?
Jack Maxey's actually
we are going to find out that all these scientists...
You love that from the day she announced that for the whole state. You've fallen in love.
Absolutely, because you know what? She is representing my spirit, which is courage and which is pull on your big boy pants.
What did Churchill say? Courage is the most important of all the qualities because upon courage, all other qualities depend. Winston Churchill. Okay, now we're going to turn to... Jonna, go ahead.
Very quickly,
I do my Churchill quote in the big pivot. You're going to go ahead.
No, I realized for the audience as well, we didn't actually explain that Bill Gertz will be on. We'll be trying to get Bill Gertz back on tomorrow.
Yes. Bill Gertz, we had technical problem. Bill Gertz is going to be back on with this book about China made you sick.
Yeah,
the Chinese Communist Party made you sick.
And you can get it on Amazon right now, How China's Communist Party Made the World Sick. It's available on Kindle, and the paperback is available in the next 10 days as well, and highly recommend.
You got to do one of these on information warfare, Raheem. I'm going to call you out now in front of the whole audience. Okay, Jonna Bianco is the head of the American Bondholder Foundation. Jonna, we're also going to keep you over for the next segment, just giving you a heads up. But walk people through. I got so much feedback yesterday. And, of course, CCP loved the fact that we're bringing up these bonds. Talk to people about these bonds. Go back to the beginning, how they were conceived, how they were sold, the whole story.
Thank you for having me back on, Steve. It's actually pretty simple. China needed to be rebuilt following the war. We were an ally. They reached out to our Christian community, to our men and women in the military, to American patriots, and asked for support. We lent them our money in good faith. Now the PRC refuses to pay it back. This isn't complicated. These are no different than a U.S. Treasury bond that people buy today. Governments issue long-term debt, 30, 40, 50, 60. Hell, China's issuing 100-year bonds now. So does that mean 50 years from now, the U.S. government doesn't have to pay their debt? Or 40 years from now? That's China's position. These are old. We shouldn't have to pay them. Move on. Forget about it. We cheated the American people yet again, just like they have on intellectual property theft and everything else.
These, we got about a minute left here, and then we're going to bring you back for this next segment. But they stopped paying on these bonds in 1938, basically during the beginning of World War II for them. They stopped paying interest, and they stopped paying any principal in 1938. Why haven't these China now? The Communist Party is the legitimate, or called the legitimate government of China. They issue bonds. Why has no one ever held them accountable for these bonds owned by American citizens?
Well, as we know, Margaret Thatcher did hold them accountable, but no U.S. government has held them accountable until all four administrations were too interested in supporting Wall Street, corporate America, getting access to that 1.3 billion populace, wanting to do business with China. And we've seen how that has worked out to the detriment of America and our national security. That's what's happened.
Jonna, we're going to bring you back for the next segment. We've got a technical problem we're going to try to clear up. This is Stephen K. Bannon, War Room Pandemic. Go to hashtag War Room Pandemic. Go to War Room 2020, at War Room 2020, at War Room Pandemic. Where else should they go for the newsletter, Raheem?
warroom.org/newsletter. Very grateful for people signing up. We don't spam. We don't try and sell you anything. This is about the top headlines in your inbox. You don't have to open them and read them, of course, but it helps to have them. And the team, Greg, Kyle, and the rest put a lot of effort into that. warroom.org/newsletter.
Over 7 million downloads now on the podcast. How can they get? We need reviews. Folks, you're getting lazy. Give us reviews. We want as many reviews as possible, as many comments as possible. Remember, in Beijing, they're reading what you have to say. We're going to return with John and Bianco in a moment.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. And watch this. When you don't need them, the lenses flip up and out of the way. Then snap right back into place when it gets bright again. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. But don't take my word for it. Check out what these people had to say. Take a look at the screen and tell me what you see.
Nothing. Just blank.
Nothing. There's nothing there.
Absolutely nothing.
Flip down those tack glasses and look again.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. There was nothing, and then it just appears an American eagle. It's absolutely insane.
Can you read that fine print on the bottom right there?
Land of the free and home of the brave. God bless America.
Whether you're on the trail or on the golf course, on the water, or on the slopes. With flip-up tack glasses, you'll always see clearly without any glare. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. Only tack glasses feature the precision and quality of genuine Bell & Howell lenses, and they're backed by our lifetime guarantee. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. You get it all, plus free shipping. Here's how to order.
To get your flip-up tack glasses for only $19.99 with free shipping, call 1-800-284-4127. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us online at flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us at flipupglasses.com. Call or log on now.
Have you or a loved one taken Zantac or another heartburn medication and developed cancer? You may be entitled to compensation. The FDA just announced that it is requesting manufacturers withdraw from the market all prescription and over-the-counter ranitidine heartburn medications, commonly known by the brand name Zantac. This is the latest step in an ongoing investigation of a contaminant known as NDMA in ranitidine heartburn medications. NDMA is a chemical that the FDA and World Health Organization both classify as cancer-causing. Now, prior to this announcement, CVS and Walgreens pulled Zantac from their shelves, citing the link between Zantac, NDMA, and cancer. If you or a loved one have taken Zantac or another heartburn medication and developed cancer, how do you fight for the compensation you deserve? You choose the right legal team that has the experience, support staff, and resources to seek the most compensation for your injuries. Call for more information and a free case review.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Seizures, stripping them of their sovereign immunity, asset seizures, sanctions, full-scale economic warfare against the Chinese Communist Party. It's all coming, folks. We're doing the building blocks. One is that in 1912, they issued bonds to build railroads, to build infrastructure. They defaulted on those bonds in 1938 during the beginning of the first couple of years of the war with Japan. Japan invaded Manchuria. They defaulted on those bonds. They paid off the British before the transfer to Hong Kong. Margaret Thatcher thought that actually, in the Reagan administration, came very close to getting these paid off, but Secretary of State Schultz, for geopolitical reasons, backed off. Now it's front and center. We're going to explore. We're going to be every day on these bonds going forward. It's very important that the deplorables get their money back. I want to turn now to Jason and go to, we got Peter Navarro. We've had Gertz. We've technical problems with Jana DiBianco. She's going to be back tomorrow. Bill Gertz, his new book, Why the Chinese Communist Party, How the Chinese Communist Party Made the World Sick. It's a new monograph. We got it up on the site. Paperback will be coming out shortly. I want to go to another warrior, another one the Chinese Communist Party hates, probably more than anybody, Peter Navarro.
Yeah, and here's Peter Navarro on Sunday with Fareed Zakaria on CCPNN.
Interview with Neil Cavuto on the 25th of April. You said when Cavuto asked you, how do you explain the president's many statements praising the Chinese? It's not, it's not 1, 2, 3. It's tweet after tweet saying they've been transparent, praising Xi Jinping, thanking the Chinese for their cooperation. You said, well, there's a difference between public pronouncements and what you actually know. Are you implying that the president's tweets are not truthful?
Fareed, look, President Donald J. Trump has made it a practice of getting along with world leaders, including Xi Jinping, Putin, Merkel, all the leaders in the world, and it's useful when push comes to shove for the president to be able to pick that phone up and talk directly to the leaders. That's all I'm saying. I can also tell you that there is no one who understands the China problem better and longer than Donald J. Trump. He precedes me in terms of my research dating back to the early 2000s in understanding the problems with China. So please, let's not go there. But one of the things I'd love to talk about, because I'm not into the gloom and doom stuff, is something that happened Wednesday, Fareed, which I think is a historical event. I was in Kokomo with the vice president visiting a plant that was a combined venture with General Motors and a small high-tech company from Seattle called Ventec. And I saw the future. I saw a president who had created the strongest economy in the world have a pathway to rebuilding this economy, which now has manufactured unemployment, but which will have a manufacturing renaissance. And here's what happened. The short story is 17 days it took for GM and Ventec to stand up a factory, and an additional 3 days for UPS and Admiral Plavchek at FEMA to get those ventilators into hospitals in Gary and Chicago. Here's the bigger story. What GM did was they went to Ventec's facility, 3D imaged that, And then they 3D imaged all 700 components of Ventec's supply chain. And they immediately replicated that plant in Kokomo. They went across their whole supply chain, repurposed that supply chain to make those 700 components. And those ventilators were made in 17 days, made in USA.
This is what stuns me, and also about the White House communication. It's the only time I've heard about what the production thing, actually, the American can do. This is an amazing story. In 17 days, you turned major, both an entrepreneurial company and major manufacturing around. If you didn't catch him on Fareed Zakaria on Sunday morning, you've never heard that.
No.
You never heard, even on Fox. This ought to be a full-scale information pushback.
This is great. This is some of the,
amazing.
and this goes back to the point about what did that month of the social distancing, of locking things down, what did we accomplish? We go to the Defense Production Act. We go to GM. And this is, I didn't know that they went and duplicated or replicated, all the aspects of the supply chain and did 3D printing to go and come up with that. Like, that's a great story.
In 3 weeks?
That is a great story. Mm-hmm. And by the way, here's a brief clip of Peter continuing on there talking. This is something I know meant a lot to Peter.
This morning, American citizens won't go to church because of the Chinese Communist Party. This afternoon, there's no baseball games. Tomorrow, American adults won't go to work. American children won't go to school. Cruise ships around the world are sitting out in the sea like Flying Dutchmen. And we have these great, big, beautiful flying machines sitting on the ground gathering dust. That's all because China hid this virus from the world. It could have been contained, and instead it turned into a pandemic.
This was messaging of both Pompeo and Navarro on Sunday, and I think it's magnificent. And it's putting the problem exactly where, as Peter sums it up, if you just throw in Ramadan and Passover, you take it yard. It was very poetic. I love the Flying Dutchman aspect of this. But this is the whole point. The whole point is that we've turned on each other, and we don't need to. Okay, it's all small ball. It's got to be focused where the blame lies. And now seeing Raheem and Jack, every day we're going to be going after the information warfare because this is a hot war. They're out to destroy us. The reason they're out to destroy us, they understand we're bifurcating for you, the American people, the difference between the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese people. And it's everything, okay? And they're nervous, right? That story in Reuters the other day, the story in Reuters about, they're very concerned about a Tiananmen-type blowback in the world, leaked by the Ministry of State Security, which is the combo of the FBI, the internal police, and the CIA, all wrapped up into one. Not military intelligence, but this is state security. You talk about a deep state, that's the deep state, and they are not happy with what Xi and these guys are doing. And the reason is they're getting to that people like us with U.S. support are now waking up the world to what this information warfare is.
One final thing before we're cutting out of here, I want to urge people to go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, go to Stitcher, go to Google Play.
Yep.
Go to Luminary, the one that Luminary, which I subscribed to for like a month. Go to all those. Subscribe to the podcast. Even if you listen or you watch on AVN, you watch on Newsmax, subscribe. YouTube. Please go on here, subscribe, and leave a review.
Give us a review. We want reviews.
And we're going to put a post up on the website warroom.org about why we're wearing the DOPA hats.
The DOPA hats, Jack DOPA Day, and you're going to have to.
One quick one. Rosemary Gibson, all of our favorite fan, put out a tweet today saying, everybody show your support for Peter Navarro because he's a great American and he's really done a great job.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one